Speaker. I rise today to speak on this very important matter, and I'd like to share something with the House. During the inaugural sittings of this Assembly, when we suspended standing orders to pass on urgency a number of bills that were considered critical by the people of the Territory, so critical that they delivered us a thumping majority of 17 seats and a great rebuke by throwing out every sitting Labor member in Darwin and Palmerston area, including a sitting Chief Minister. And I congratulate the member for Drysdale on his great accomplishment by winning the support of the people of Drysdale with his unwavering and unflinching efforts of walking the streets of Drysdale day and night, putting his life at risk and picking up unending amounts of rubbish. It's true. During those sittings, there was a lot of debate and about the need to suspend standing orders to pass those bills on urgency. So Declan's Law, the Post and Boast, and the other bills that we brought to the House. It was our considered opinion on this side of the House that those bills were extremely urgent and needed to address the crime crisis that was engulfing the Territory and the crime crisis that had led Territorians to such an unprecedented result in their election. There was suggestion that we should let those bills sit on the notice paper for a month and come back to these sittings and debate them. That's not what we heard from Territorians. What we heard from Territorians was that they were crying out for action on knife crime, crying out for action on posting and boasting on social media by criminals of their criminal acts. Those bills that we brought to the House were so urgent that we needed to get them passed. We didn't have time to wait because, as members of this House will know, once we pass a bill in this House, it's not automatically law. First of all, the Administrator has to assent to it, which takes some time. Then if there's technical aspects, for example, we have to go and buy a whole bunch of electronic monitoring bracelets, then, that has to happen. But none of that can happen until it passes this House. And this House only meets, once a month or so. Sometimes when we have 2 weeks in a row, but we can't call this House willy-nilly. That's not how it works. It was urgent, it was critical that we had to pass those bills in those 2 weeks of sittings so that the process of restoring safety to Territorians could commence. So I want to share a story that just shines a light on the importance of why it was so urgent that we pass those bills. So on the day when the Administrator assented to the Post and Boast bill that we brought to this House, which those on the crossbench opposed by calling division after division, as we tried to return safety to Territorians, look out for Territorians, get behind our police, return safety to our streets. Labor and the crossbench opposed bill after bill, calling division after division. On the day that the Administrator assented to the Post and Boast bill, I was at a local sports club doing what you do, engaging with some of the junior teams. I think I was handing out pizza. And when that finished, I started getting messages on my phone saying there were a lot of police at a particular address in my electorate. So I finished at the sports ground and I went around to the address to check on my constituents and make sure that they were okay. When I arrived there, I saw a police paddy wagon and an area roped off with crime tape. I saw a car from detectives, and some detectives were taking statements from one of the households, and there was a large patch of blood on the driveway of the house. Now, I won't go into too many of the details because no doubt this will come before the courts, but there's one part of this story which is very salient to this house. On the day that the administrator assented to the Post and Boast Bill, a constituent in my electorate was viciously assaulted with an edged weapon and left a large amount of blood on a driveway, on the side of a suburban street. Now, luckily, he survived. But not only did the alleged offender allegedly commit this alleged act, while I was there and comforting the victims, the victim's daughter came up to me a little bit later and she said, she held up her phone and she said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. Look at this." She showed me something, the image is still seared into my mind. It was an image of the alleged offender without a shirt, taking a selfie of himself with the alleged weapon, posted onto his social media. One of her friends had seen it, screenshotted it, sent it to her. This re-traumatised the victim's family all over again. Not only had someone's father been brutally assaulted and left his blood all over the street, the alleged offender was allegedly posting this on social media and bragging about what he'd just done. The blood was still on the weapon. The impact of this family has now left my electorate. They have a house, they're too scared to go home. They're too scared to go home. They're currently, those on the crossbench talk about climate refugees. Well, what about the crime refugees? They are too scared to go home. They are now taking refuge with family of theirs in the northern suburbs because they're too scared to go home to the place where this assault happened. If we hadn't suspended standing orders, if we hadn't passed those bills on urgency, if we hadn't taken such bold action, thanks to our leader, Lia Finocchiaro, our Chief Minister, if we hadn't had the courage to stand up for Territorians, draw a line in the sand and say, we will not move, we will stand up for Territorians. If we had not passed those bills in those sittings, the administrator would not have been able to assent to it. And the fact that this alleged offender allegedly posted and boasted would not, there would be no consequence. No consequence. So I rise tonight to bring this to the attention of the House and place it on the record. And to all those who are listening, please consider, we don't bring things here for no reason. We don't bring things here because it suits an ideological agenda. We bring things to this House because it has to be done for the safety and the well-being of Territorians. That is why I stood as a candidate for Blain. That's why the people of Blain put their confidence in me. That's why Territorians put their confidence in the members on this side of the House and gave us the resounding mandate that we have to keep them safe, restore the economy and bring back our lifestyle. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Are there any more speakers? You're not, okay. The motion.